the Department of Homeland Security now officially works for the United Nations to bring down American citizens who are exporting guns outside of the United States. Now, before I get into it, I do want to take a moment and thank our sponsor, Victory Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Kansas City, Kansas, for not just supporting our channel, but being the hands and feet of Jesus Christ by building orphanages all over this world, by having food pantries, battered women's shelters. And so I'm going to put their link below. I recommend take a look if they have a ministry near you or a ministry that particularly tugs at your heart. I recommend you buy a car from them. They can ship it to you because then a portion of that money is going to the ministry and not just all of it going into somebody's pocket. So that link is below. I remember when the Department of Homeland Security was put together. It was after the 9/11 attacks in 2001 by then President Bush and George W. And it seemed like a good idea, but hindsight, it really was just another alphabet agency. And depending on what the administration that be is in charge of it, it could be a whole different beast. And what we're seeing right now is that the DHS has partnered with the United Nations to combat gun trafficking going outside the U.S. into Haiti and Mexico. Well, let's take a look at this for a second. If the Department of Homeland Security is supposed to protect the homeland, but now they work for the UN and they're protecting Haiti and Mexico. Now, something else I want to add about Mexico is, what you have is you ultimately have Mexico suing all of the gun manufacturers in the U.S., blaming the U.S. and their gun makers on the violent crime they have in Mexico, because, it's obviously Smith & Wesson's fault for that one. Definitely not the cartel or anything like that, or just the violence that has been there forever. But really what you have is you have the Supreme Court kind of leaning towards supporting this process of lawsuits against the gun companies. You have the ATF working with Mexico to try to stop the gun companies. And now you have the Department of Homeland Security partnering with the United Nations to stop the flow of guns outside the United States. This raises some red flags for me. Let's start with the loss of money, because you have man hours and you have resources. My guess is in the tens to hundreds of millions of dollars, if not billions of dollars, going towards protecting places that are not homeland. And beyond that, what you have is when you start to begin to partner with the United Nations, because why would they partner with the United Nations? Well, because the United Nations tracks guns. They've been in the business of tracking guns, small arms and large arms, for really the better part of the last 5 years, and they're very good at it. They get out reports quarterly on where guns are going, where they're coming from, where weapons are going, where they're coming from, where ammo's coming from, where it's going, and they're very good at this. So now Department of Homeland Security, they want to know. So they partnered with the United Nations to get the intel from the UN, really to reap havoc on the United States homeland. Because if guns are being funneled to Haiti, here's what I can promise. Homeland Security is not going to arrest Haitians at all. They're going to arrest Americans. They're just going to straight up arrest Americans for this thing that they're doing. Let's just say I'm, as an American, shipping guns to Haiti, which I'm not, but let's just say I am. And obviously I'm going to have some sort of connection in Haiti to receive those guns. And there's obviously going to be port people involved and some shipping companies, etc. Department of Homeland Security is not going to be arresting Haitians. They're going to arrest me They're going to arrest the exporters. They're going to arrest the local shipping companies. They're definitely not going to be arresting Haitian ships or ship pilots. They're definitely not going to be going to the ports of Haiti or Mexico and arresting anybody, really, other than Americans. So what's going to happen with Department of Homeland Security partnering with the United Nations is that a lot of Americans are going to get arrested, is what's going to take place. Is the homeland going to be any more secure? No, of course it's not going to be more secure, because in the end, Mexico and the Haitians, they're getting their guns. They're going to get their guns. That's for sure, one way or the other. So really all you're doing is you're really putting America more at risk by partnering with the UN to bring down this flow of guns outside of the U.S. I'll put a link to a couple articles on it, that way you can kind of get the detail that you might not have gotten here. But yeah, right now what you're dealing with is both Haiti and Mexico blaming the U.S. on their gun crime and their violent crime. And they're specifically targeting gun manufacturers in the U.S. And now you have the United Nations tracking the flow of guns, both big and small arms. And now you have Department of Homeland Security working with the UN to ultimately bring down Americans doing it. Is who they're going to bring down. Mark my word, I can almost promise you, look at ATF arrests over the next following month or two. It's going to be Americans only is what it's going to be. So this, in my view, is a major problem. Because again, it's not protecting the homeland at all. It's only putting us more at risk. There are more rules in the United States and laws than you're almost freer anywhere else in the world anymore. It just seems like everything, they're just coming down on everything. You can't even drink a large soda in New York City. I mean, it's silly. But any thoughts or insight, especially that insight you might have, definitely put that below. I do want to take a moment and say that most people watch this channel, they're not subscribers. Take a moment, hit that subscribe button. It greatly increases the algorithm and our ability to get these messages out. That link is below. But the most important part of this channel, we take prayer requests. Never hesitate to send that in. Thank you for watching this episode of Got Family Guns. As always, I've got love your family, love guns.